in charge tonight is Ian Tempest. On the bench for Leicester, Will Spencer. First time since he and Ian Tempest had a disagreement at the Rico back in September. Is it really November? Have to check the old Filofax to make sure that it still is. Still feels, I use a Filofax. It still feels like
still
August,
got 1980
September.
as the date though.
No, that's just his clothes.
It is mild. And Danny Cipriani, who was one of the headline boys over the first portion of the season, gets us going again after the break, taken in by Harry Wells.
A good take from Wells, but it's Billy Twelvetrees that came round, bound on the ball straight away, so Leicester couldn't get the drive going. Really bright from the centre.
First job for Ford is to clear long into the arms of Woodward. And then a little burst upfield, more than a little burst from Freddie Clark. Big and strong, and those large strides eating up the ground. Woodward away to Banahan, who just charges Jordan Oluwafela out of his path. This is Fraser Balmain, another former Tiger tonight. Back to Mark Atkinson. Willie Hines, how good to see him back in the Premiership. Calf injury that ended last season prematurely. Cipriani, he and Cipriani in tandem for the first time in the Premiership tonight. And there'll be a penalty for hands on the floor.
Yeah, Tom Youngs might have just lost his footing at a key point as well. If it looks bad to the referee, they're not going to let you get away with it. There's the contact, goes slightly over, and there's the hand coming in, but you can see he's not supporting his own body weight. The right call.
Post call.
There's Danny Cipriani. He's back from suspension tonight after his red card in Munster. Premiership Cup meant that he didn't miss any Premiership proper matches, and an early opportunity to ease his way back into the system. It's a still night, not a breeze to worry about. Yes, a little kiss works in his favour. 3-0.
It really does, but just looking back to that first kick from Leicester, this is what causes the trouble. We've seen this from Leicester too much this season. This is the connection between three defenders. The important one is the guy in the middle, because he's going to be on the ball, so what you can't do is drift away from him. You have to get closer, particularly if he's a front five. Bateman on this occasion, and it takes a great tackle from Tom Youngs to stop that from being a 20-metre break. Leicester got to get tighter defensively, particularly against this very good Gloucester attacking unit.
Stock gathered in by Gareth Evans. He's reacquainting himself with the Premiership as well tonight. First start for nearly 2 years for him. Hines back to Cipriani. Oh, that kick charged down by Thompson. Teammates last season at Wasps. But Jaco Creel amongst those helping to pick up the pieces. Wells, we saw, tried to reef it away, but to no effect. Popped up for Twelvetrees, and that's gone forward.
12, just spots that line on the inside of Gareth Owen. Thinks he can get his arms through. This is the charge down. Just not enough trajectory. I don't think Thompson really believed he was going to get there, but puts his body in the way. And there's the half line, but just has the ball stripped.
30 yesterday, Billy Twelvetrees. Barely looks any older than he did when he made his debut for Leicester.
So we heard Johan Ackerman talking about the importance of matching Leicester at the set piece before the game. They'll want to lay down a marker here. Leicester will know they're coming for him. Good field position and scrum position for Leicester to attack from. Dan Cole will want to try and get into the referee's mind with an early shunt. A really, really important scrum for both sides.
It's not really a scrum you'd expect the ball to come out from here. Leicester going for the penalty, try and get back on level terms, but if it does come out, the formation that Gloucester have adopted defensively against the attack for Leicester looks a little bit overweighted on the blind side. As you can see there, 2 players in behind the scrum, Ford and Worth. If they go down that short side, it becomes a 4-on-2 potentially, particularly if you can do it with pace and flat. But the ball's never coming out of this scrum. Said that now.
Ben White is the scrum half. The 8 is Calamafoni, off an advantage. It does come out, and they have the benefit of the free play as well. Kyle Eastman was there. He'd overrun the ball in that ruck, but back we come.
Well, you can see that none of the backs expected that to actually be a play from the scrum. The ball came out. Calamafoni breaks off the base really well. A great attacking opportunity, but the Leicester backliners at 6 and 7s, they're nowhere near him in terms to keep the move going, go through another 2 phases and then go back for the penalty. It's not a bad result for Leicester, but you might not get many chances in the red zone this evening.
Just Honeck initially in that scrum, trying to edge forward, trying to get the pressure on Cole, but he drops that left shoulder, rolls in. That's where the scrum penalty advantage came from, and the ball clearly out.
Tom Hardwick, who is on the bench, has been kicking as well this season, but it's Joe Ford with the first opportunity, Ben, as we look back at this.
Yeah, you can just see that he was scrabbling to get back to his feet, but here, the ball clearly out. Savage is entitled to go and play that, but go back for the original offence.
Only one Ford has been kicking off Premiership tees so far this season. Let's see what another can do. It's now not a George monopoly. Joe has 3 points and Leicester are level.
Yeah, he does. Got a better percentage now as well from the tee. He'll be rubbing that in later only when he gets on the phone to George, wishing him good luck for tomorrow.
Yeah, kid brother set to captain his country at Twickenham. What a moment for the Ford family. Eastman in the position, takes on 12 trees, and he took on Creel as well. Springbok making his Premiership debut after 18 months of injury frustration. Oh, and Balmain piles through and cleared away under a little bit of pressure by White and Woodward. Twelve trees. Cipriani had moved beyond him. Driven up by Matt Banahan. Savage. And this is Honeck.
Chance for Thompson there to advance onto that pass from 12 trees. A little bit delayed.
Taken on by the captain, Slater. Cipriani. And he was hit by Cole. It's going to be adjudged as a knock-on and charged down from Calamafoni, but no advantage. Adam Leal and Wayne Fowler, by the way, the touch judges that we'll be hearing tonight on the microphones. Jeff Warren is the TMO.
Okay, time off.
Banahan had his hands on the ball during that. If he scores a try tonight, he will equal Mark Cueto's record of 8 against Leicester in the Premiership. That's a pretty decent list, isn't it? Cueto, Banahan, Ashton, Wade and Wiles, only the very best, but they've scored a fair few against the Tigers down the years. Chris Wiles, back out of retirement, by the way. You might have seen that story. He's available for Saracens this weekend, having treated himself to a nice box of Havanas, but put the brandy down and he may well be back on the pitch. We will see. So this scrum.
The referee just had a word with James Hansen just to go back to speak to his front row ahead of this scrum.
Bind.
Make it clear exactly what he wants.
White. Straight to front.
It's Bateman, call coming from the referee's assistant on the far side.
Straight to floor number 1 is the message.
1-1 scrum penalties. I love the chat that you had, Oz, with Greg Bateman in the warm-up, where he talked about the battle of the biscuits.
I don't know what he was talking about that, but I've got quite a large on the back of my head. Yeah, just looking back to this intercept chance, we talk about 12 trees in the warm-up, his ability to throw a flat pass. Sometimes, though, he holds it for too long. I think Thompson's got plenty of time to go on to that and take it. And if you do that early on, it really gives you the opportunity to put a lot more pressure in their phase play. Just get in their minds.
First line out of the match, an area that Gloucester have been dominant in so far this season. Set pieces reversed. Leicester dominant in the scrum so far. Gloucester likewise line out wise, and they have won the first one.
They need to get that out at some point. It's dropped. You could see the panic. The referee had already called that the maul had stopped once, and then Leicester maybe taking a leaf out of what Northampton did to the Tigers at Twickenham. Players going round the wrong side, but as long as they don't change their bind, they can stay in, and the panic that creates in terms of the attacking side, are we going to get the ball back?
Does this just become now, in line-out driving terms, man-on-man? They throw the ball up. If you put your arms around the man that opposite you and hold on to him and don't let go, you're allowed to stay in that position. And then it becomes really difficult. You're seeing it a lot. We see Northampton do it. It's almost like man-on-man marking.
What tends to happen is you end up getting spun. So as a team moves the ball away from you, it automatically wheels, and then you don't have to let go as long as you don't change your bind. So that's what they're trying to do there. It works when you're further out than it does when you're nearer the line. It's a much bigger gamble nearer the line.
Set.
Young scrum half Ben White, just a handful of Premiership games, only his second start. Ben Young's elsewhere, of course, this weekend. Eastman running into his old mucker Cipriani.
Again, we just wonder whether Cipriani
went high again.
Yeah, exactly. Whether in his mind he now thinks, do I have to drop?
It's a good ploy if you've got Kyle Eastman at 5'5",
exactly,
running straight at him, and he drops his height into the tackle now. What are you supposed to do?
You can see
he backs off this time.
It's
puts
a
his hands
natural
in front
reaction,
of him.
though, to try and get his head out of the way. He stands up and lifts it away, and that's what could cause him problems in the future. Because that's what happened really in that Munster game, wasn't it? He was almost trying to get out of the way of making the tackle high, and got caught and sent off.
Run out snaffled by Williams. There's a penalty coming. Gloucester were in a little bit too soon, and Gareth Owen boulders his way through. Takes some cherry and white defenders with him, and now a slightly bigger boulder, Tom Youngs. White whips it wide to Ford. Eastman again tried to get around the tackle of Atkinson. It's the gain line, a little golden line. Eastman, and he was looking for Oluwafela, who was always slightly ahead of the ball. So back we come for the penalty.
That's a long way to come back for the advantage, isn't it? If they haven't had advantage there, gone from the 10-metre line to the 22, I think Leicester have got away with that a little bit. But Eastman heavily involved. He's just holding. He's holding his wrist, just slightly injured. Jordan Oluwafela just overrunning him slightly when he tried to create that 2-on-1.
It's actually on the 10-metre line, yeah, man.
Just on the 10 or behind. Sorry, Joe. Thanks, mate. Yeah, good.
He's trying to just steal a yard on Banahan, isn't he? But
I think in that scenario, when you see the winger outside, you square up, and then you see his inside shoulder, you've got to put the ball on the floor in behind, because you're only going to end up in one position in the shed, and nobody wants to go in the shed.
Unless you want to go in the shed.
Unless you want to go in the shed.
In which case you're queuing up early.
Yeah, obviously.
Second season as a Tiger for Joe Ford. He guided Yorkshire Carnegie to the championship final. He's a very fine player in his own right, and he's got his starting opportunity here tonight. It remains at 3 points apiece.
George goes back ahead in the stats from the tee.
It's fairly brutal early on, isn't it? 100% to 50%. There's no hiding.
Next one's crucial.
Cipriani will bring this down just beyond halfway. Into the arms of the fullback, George Worth. First Premiership game of his season, just his 3rd start for Worth. That was a little bit loose.
Yeah, it's not so much Kitchener's fault, is it? Everyone lets it go. You expected someone to have picked that up.
Talisa Veyano's had a foot operation, but I'm not entirely sure how long he's going to be out for. And Jonah Holmes, interestingly, picked to start at fullback for Wales tomorrow in the Principality Stadium. So this young lad getting his go.
Yeah, I think he'll get plenty of opportunity this season with that. Bad news about Veyano. Could be out for quite some time. As Ben said, in that scenario there, when you're at 10 and you've got 4 forwards all running the same line, it is such a difficult pass to pick someone out.
Crouch.
You want a forward to step up and almost make it their ball, cut a line, pick an inside shoulder, make a decision for you.
Scrum's collapsed, but on we go with Freddie Clark.
Did well to get that out so quickly, Clark, then. Gloucester had just gone down on the Loosehead side.
Get your arms down, get your arms down.
Now there's a fight going on, but there's also some rugby to enjoy, and this is Atkinson, and there's a huge overlap, and Woodward will make the absolute most of it. A fight elsewhere, a try where it matters.
I think they're going to have to go to the TMO to see what actually happened.
Yeah, I just wanted to make you aware there was players behind you on the ground. Okay. To me, like tight head for Leicester, loose head from Gloucester, just getting involved off the ball.
Okay, but I've got players from both teams there.
Both teams involved, yeah.
You have no foul play that we need to check?
No foul play.
So I'm going to award the try.
Correct.
The scrap doesn't impact on the score, and Gloucester have the first try of the evening.
Well, thanks, Dan.
Yeah. Can't really see what's happening in the scrap at the top, but certainly Leicester are short of defenders that would have been there. You would have expected the front row to drop back. One of the ploys that teams often use is to hold the front row in a scrum after it's broken up to try and create that gap down that blind side. But what a finish. Really nicely done from Gloucester.
Scored a try in the Champions Cup, but that's his first in the Prem this season, Oz.
Yeah, it's a sublime finish and a brilliant piece of skill from Danny Cipriani. We sort of overlooked that because there was a fight in the midfield. Have to say, not from a Leicester point of view, very surprised they didn't go back and look at it. 2 or 3 players held out the defensive line, makes a huge difference.
Oh, that is a brilliant conversion. Off his left boot, Gloucester into a 7-point lead. Gloucester 10, Leicester 3. Which is where the scrap starts, Ben.
The scrap, yeah, a little bit of a drive there. More involved, bit of a wrap-up. And I think, actually, from a Leicester perspective, Jordan Murphy will probably be saying to Bateman and to Tom Youngs, why did you dive in there? Why didn't you ignore it and get back in to the line?
Cipriani flicks it back to 12 trees on a canny angle, and here goes Banahan. Ball down by Oluwafela, ripped away, and here's Gareth Owen. He's getting more game time this season. Fully fit Gareth Owen, clocking up the miles. He's going to be worth watching.
Play the ball. It's a good competition. He's been pinned in. Play the ball.
White told to crack on. Kitchener back to Ford, Eastman, and here goes Worth.
Not now.
Ball cleared by Calamafoni's drive. This is Williams.
Good line speed from Slater and Atkinson. They hold Williams up, turn the ball over
as well. Brilliant from Atkinson.
Ended up in the arms of Honeck, and now Hines, and now Cipriani. And you could see him thinking about the kick, and he left the decision to pass as late as possible, and as a result, ball was lost forward, and Leicester have the advantage in it. Well, Oluwafela was an option, but they will need the insurance.
Ollie will get a bit of stick. Graham Kitchener from the shed, they're all shouting Eeyore at him, but if he gets that 50-50 pass away, Oluwafela maybe has a bit of space to work in. It's worth the shot when you're playing the advantage. Just seat doesn't drop down enough. Well read in the end from Woodward.
Start of his season delayed by a hip operation. That was the first 3 weeks or so, but he's back in full swing now. And we mentioned that another former Worcester lot, Will Spencer, has served his ban. He's on the bench this evening.
No love lost between these two front rows. We know that now. They've had a little wrestle already. Now a legal wrestle.
There goes White, and this is Eastman. Takes on Cipriani. Again, the air cleared by Calamafoni. Cole taking on his old mate Slater. Jaco Creel was well positioned initially to stymie that run, but then he had to give up. And Leicester looked to create some blocks. Eastman. Ball's there. Thompson does what he could to make sure it came back on the White side, and he's done just enough, and then the penalty, much to Ed Slater's frustration.
Yeah, the referee went in to tell him. Perhaps initially the referee thought he was okay.
I asked you to come off, you went back on.
I don't think Ed Slater agrees with that decision.
Midway through the first half, couple of Joe Ford penalties, 10-6.
Yeah, this is the pick from Thompson. Gets a little bit isolated. You can see maybe the arms just slightly down, not supporting his body weight. You can see why Slater's upset by it. The referee did come in and tell him to leave it just before he stole it.
Again, Cipriani picking out Eastman. Will that be a ploy?
Well, pick on the smallest guy on the pitch, probably. Especially from kickoffs, but you've got to put it on the money, and both of those restarts from Cipriani have been exactly that, on the money.
Use the ball, man!
He's starring. He's standing far enough back that it's unlikely he's going to get competition in the air, though. So they've got to make sure that he can't use his strength of his footwork, so you have to be on him as soon as he catches it.
Buttery fingers for Jason Woodward. Oz, what have you got?
Just looking back at the try, and now we've seen it again. The try does stand, it is fair and square. The Leicester defenders commit to that fight. They don't get back in the line. Owen tries to get forward and take the tackle on Cipriani, but look at this piece of skill. Open, flat hand, flicks it on. They get round the corner. It's a nice little dummy, and through they go. It took a lot of finishing. We know this Gloucester backline's got great skill and great pace. As Ben said, though, as a front five guy, particularly in the modern game, maybe in the olden days, you can't join in with a fight.
Johnny Bell is Gloucester's defence coach. Johnny, how would you have felt if you'd conceded a try when some of your bigger blokes were engaged in a fight on halfway? What's the policy? Is there one? Is there an official line?
Well, I'd be cracking up because I want guys in the defensive line, but yeah, I don't know the details of the fight, but yeah, they'll be disappointed that they've got themselves short, and as you say, a lovely piece of skill by Danny and a nice dummy by Ake, and they go through. So,
Johnny, we were talking about the way that Kyle Eastman seems to be running at Danny Cipriani. What conversations have you had with him after the Munster red card?
Well, stay on the pitch.
Well, in terms of his tackling technique, I guess.
Well, look, obviously he does like to hit around the ball. He generally doesn't fire shoulders, and he gets quite chesty. So we're trying to get him to dip in his height a little bit in the tackles, but old habits die hard in some cases.
As always, Johnny, appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
Fullback Worth took the ball, and Banahan at around the same time.
Yeah, it's the right decision. I can see what Worth's trying to do. He's a little bit isolated. Brilliant read and tackle from Banahan, because they tried to isolate him and slide Worth on that outside arc line to get round him. but he gets across, makes that low shot, and he thinks he's a little bit isolated. If he just rolls there and looks like he's just trying to present the ball, he probably gets away with it. But the fact that he actually gets back to his feet and drives forward is what the referee will not like. So there's the tackle, clearly held, doesn't let go of the ball, and just the fact that he pushes off with his feet. Had he just looked to place the ball back, but still had a bit of movement on the floor to allow his support players to get there, he probably would have got away with it.
One other 7:45 kickoff tonight in the Premiership, scoreless so far at the Stoop. Crimson Falcons. Gareth Evans involved in this latest cherry and white raid, although it's just the second time with the ball in hand they've ventured into Leicester's 22. Clark, he does like a bit of biff, doesn't he? Hines, and here's 12 Trees, who doesn't shy away either, and he's got some of his mates dragging onto him. Hansen tried to straighten it up. Hines scoops it off the floor. Cipriani keeps it going. This is Creel, Premiership debut for the South African. That close now, Gloucester. Oh, Atkinson coming in on the line, but Leicester's defence was firm. For how much longer? For no longer. And it is a record-equaling try for Matt Banahan. Both he and Mark Cueto have now got 8 against Leicester.
Oh, Danny Cipriani has only just come back into this Gloucester fold, but you can see his impact instantly. As it looks like it might have even broken down for Gloucester, just under pressure again, his sharp hands there. Let's watch it squirt out here. Oh, that's the phase before. You can see that long ball. It's just creates lovely little overlap, his reading of what the defensive line are doing.
He started every Premiership game since his move from Bath, and you can see why. What about the conversion? Not quite so magical.
No, just looking at the try again, as Ben White goes off for a HIA, he would look very groggy after the tackle that led to it. But this is what power and width gives you. All the forwards are worried. They all stay tight around the breakdown. So you lose all your width defensively. You need those guys out, second, third defender. Otherwise, you end up with that scenario, 2-on-1 with a man in the wide channel, especially if that man has potentially got a head injury.
Yeah,
and that's a problem.
That problem's caused for Leicester. It squirts out there, but just Cipriani, the calmness he shows, the straighten, the little offload, he pulls in extra Leicester defenders. Then they go one more phase, and now they're all focused in on the ball, and that allows him to create the long pass. So it's not just that ability he has at the end, but the way he manipulates the Leicester defence that sets Cipriani apart.
Looks like Guy Thompson as well as down on coming off on a stretcher. It's not good.
Yeah, it's been a very costly 60 seconds for Leicester. They have lost Ben White to an HIA, and my goodness, look at this. Poor Guy Thompson in a stretcher. Sam Harrison's coming on. This is how he was injured.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's hard to see from there as he dragged his way through. Is it?
Okay, there's clear blood, so this can be a blood. I've been told by them. Yeah, I'm happy this can be clear blood, so you want to see if you can stitch it. So there's clear blood, so it can be a blood.
Well, it's hard to say. Anyway,
Okay, yeah?
Mike Fitzgerald will come on for a stricken Guy Thompson, and what a shame for a man who's made such an impact at his new club. Early on into his stay, has brought some energy and some muscle and some savvy, but it's the worst way to see him leave us tonight.
Yeah, just watching it again, Nick, and it didn't look anything obvious, anything clear. Goes down holding his knee, so let's hope for himself and for Leicester that he's okay.
Time the run better for me, okay? Time on.
Sam Harrison, match winner in that dramatic opening night, you might remember, a couple of seasons ago. And here he is involved now. taken by Gareth Evans. His first Premiership start for the best part of 2 years. Gloucester getting bodies back. Willie Hines is one of them. Tom Savage is another. Thorley's also back on the cart, and he was chasing hard and putting Worth under a lot of pressure. Here's Callum Mahoney. What work he did in a cherry and white shirt. He's got some work to do here, though. Tom Savage has got underneath him.
Yeah, they call maul as well, so Gloucester could just stay in there. Really effective for the cherry and whites at the moment, that. Leicester getting caught on a couple of occasions. Mike Williams once, Callum Mahoney this time. That work of Savage and Slater to almost let him go through between them, and they slide round and prevent the Leicester players who are trying to latch on from doing the damage. As a combination, frightening.
That's tough on Callum Mahoney, because you wouldn't say he was necessarily upright.
It's not Callum Mahoney's fault. The latches are too loose. They're not tight enough on the body. They don't take out the two tacklers. They're not doing their job. And when you've got great technique and big power against you, you need everyone around you to help you get down.
9, Willie.
Hines to Atkinson, and Thorley offering a questioning angle that was well read by I think it was Mike Williams.
Tackle release, thank you.
Callum Mahoney with the tackle on Evans. There's Balmain. Cipriani. Banahan. He's almost clattered his way through the door.
No!
Hines gets it back. Cipriani once more. Jaco Creel. Slater, part of this latest raiding party. Evans tipped up. Here's the hooker, Hansen. Woodward, and then that's gone off the barrel chest, it seemed, of Matt Banahan.
Yeah, our lower fella just rolling the dice. He saw it, saw the pass, accelerates onto it, tries to catch Banahan man and ball. Just does enough to put him off.
There's threats all over the field for Gloucester. They look very good. OK, this is a mistake, but it's one of the few handling areas we've seen this evening. Leicester's only answer to this is to increase their line speed. Collectively get tighter, increase their line speed. Because if Gloucester continue to get these outside shoulder breaks, this width on their play, they're going to crucify Leicester this evening.
Really good picture last two scrums. Keep it up and square.
Again, we talk about him. Sometimes you feel a bit guilty about not talking about anyone else. But Cipriani just controls phase after phase after phase.
Crouch!
Makes it so easy to play alongside him.
Bind! Set!
This is a Leicester scrum for the new scrum half, Sam Harrison, who is on while Ben White has an HIA. Callum Mahoney under a lot of pressure, tries to secure the ball. And that pressure leads to Gloucester penalty. And look at Tom Savage. He's enjoying himself on a Friday night. That was a mighty roar.
Oh, yeah, it's the referee's assistant again. Not happy with Greg Bateman on that far side. Cole was in a good, strong position, but they certainly shunted from his side.
By Slater at the front. And he's drawn a penalty, or rather Leicester have conceded one in their efforts to steal it back early. Evans was there, but Hansen rolls away. Hines, Atkinson, and then Cipriani and Woodward. Oh, he took it brilliantly. And then Thorley very nearly. Oh, my goodness.
Fantastic tackle by Olafella, but what a play. We've seen Gloucester do it time and time again. Time and time again. Atkinson becomes the first receiver.
Definite.
Yeah, great tackle and a great camera angle as well. What about Woodward? Gets that outside shoulder. He's beat Thompson for pace, and then he still has the ability to get the pass away. Although a fellow does exactly the right thing, runs straight past him. It was a freebie, so Leicester have got to defend again.
Not across. Okay. How many?
First Premiership game for 9 months in the absence of Charlie Sharples. Both sides missing their top scorers tonight. Sharples for Gloucester, Johnny May for Leicester. Attacking line out for the home side.
Once backwards. Some more.
And on they go.
Use the ball, please. Use the ball.
Gloucester have got to use it. It's called once. Willie Hines going digging.
Kitchen is in there. He had his hands on the ball there and his knees on the pitch, but on we go.
Gets away with it, doesn't he, Kitchener?
Hines. Gareth Evans with the latest surge, and now Twelvetrees tries to roll around the tackle. That close. Hines back underneath the post. Stan Cole over it. He's told to give it up, but the ball's loose. Who's on it first? It looks like Leicester might have got onto it first. Spilt ball, defensive ball, cleared ball.
Just about cleared, just making it 5 metres from the 22-metre line. Leicester are going to have to defend again. Good defensive set from those front 5 forwards in and around the breakdown. Billy Hines trying to catch them napping.
The autumn test continue tomorrow. We'll be at Murrayfield for Scotland against South Africa from 5, and then Sunday back in the Premiership. Ashton Gate, another big crowd. Bristol against Exeter at 2:30. After the match, another chance to see Craig and Brian's excellent documentary, Shoulder to Shoulder, and then rugby tonight back on Wednesday night. Lima Sopawanga, our guest in the studio. Was knocked backwards by Savage, who it seemed went highest. Atkinson took it in, and now Creel. Oh, there was no way through. High and low tackle on Creel. Ball swept up by Cipriani effortlessly. Now he's on his bike. Tackled by 4. There's just a hint of the high.
Yeah, it was definitely high.
Borderline, yeah.
It is a penalty. Ian Tempest getting some help from Adam Leal.
Yeah, spot, definitely.
And then Jeff Warren, the TMO, confirms it's a penalty, just a penalty. Cipriani, and Tom Young's blocked the door.
Nothing there for me.
And Cipriani's down, he's hurt himself. And Tom Youngs tries to help him up. Cipriani less keen on the assistance.
Got to be careful there, Tom Youngs.
Yeah.
Whether you've done it or not, you can't pick someone off the floor like that. Particularly when your side's under this much pressure.
Just concern about the neck, clearly, for Cipriani. What's the tackle, Ben?
Well, it's not a tackle, it's a standing his ground. He doesn't have to move there. Referee's got it absolutely right. Tom Young stands still, Cipriani runs into him. But Austin's right. In this day and age, you can't go picking up people that look like they're injured just in case.
Say that again, Ben.
Austin Healy's, for the first time in his life, right.
Thank you.
There's the high tackle.
That's the right decision as well, isn't it? Penalty only, doesn't make contact with the head, but it is up around shoulder level.
21.
Big 6 minutes for Leicester now. Psychologically, if they can hold Gloucester out, hold out till half-time, going in at 9 points down after being under the cosh, I think you'd be pretty happy with that.
Okay.
Off goes Sam Harrison.
7.
Ben White's past his HIA.
Time on, 7, full line.
Gloucester are starting to set some decent balls up here. You see how early they go and get into position. There, they're all set, ready to go now. The shunt comes on from Leicester, but they just edge out to the right. Leicester will try and stay in there. Dan Cole gets pulled away, but the other guys don't have to move. And that forces Hansen to break out, but what a good job.
What a charge from the Wallaby. Freddie Clark has it. He'll pop it up for Savage. And Young's again central to Leicester's defensive effort, but Savage earns an extra centimetre or so, but he doesn't find the turf.
It's the right call from the referee there. The reason that Leicester didn't have to let go was they were actually on the line, so he's told them that they're held up. Had that been an inch or two towards the Gloucester side of the field, Leicester would have had to let them recycle, but as it is, it'll be a scrum on the 5-metre line. Gloucester put in.
She had Slater who took it in.
Yeah, it's a really good tactic, I think, when you're 2 or 3 metres out from your line. Hansen with a brilliant break through the middle, keeps a leg drive going, stays on his feet. Guys have got to get him to ground a lot quicker there. But then, as you see, Slater comes around the corner. Rather than drop him short of the line, roll him and get underneath and carry him over the line. Then you get the opportunity to reset through a scrum, particularly if it's a strength of yours. Because if he goes to ground there, you've got to defend the short side and the far side, and it's very tough to stop big ball carriers like Gloucester have got.
You've said it, Oz. It feels like a very big 5 minutes as we approach half-time here at Kingsholm. Numbers to emphasise how Gloucester are starting to enjoy themselves more and more in the kill zone.
They've got to get 2 penalties, Leicester, to survive this off. 1 at this scrum and then 1 at the ensuing line out. If they get that, they stand a chance. Otherwise, I'm not sure they can hold Gloucester out for much longer.
Crouch! Bind!
Huge scrum. Free kick. Let's take another scrum, don't you?
Yeah, Gloucester will, yeah.
Scrum again.
First point of the evening at the Stoop, taken 35 minutes. Marcus Smith with a penalty, and they lead currently bottom of the table, Newcastle, 3-0. We assume that the Falcons will start to rise up the charts as the season wears on. They've had a particularly tough start fixture list-wise, but they're 3 points down in a low-scoring encounter in southwest London.
Yeah, really tough start, but Worcester and Bristol starting to improve and get better and better week on week.
More Leicester defence. Hines, oh, he wasn't far away, and it was Harry Wells who held him up, but for how much longer? For no longer. And the try scored by Balmain.
Yeah, not the first time Billy Hines has had a little snipe and caused Leicester problems. And from the resulting ruck, Leicester have their 2 tallest players, the second rows, trying to stop the squat tight head prop. That's the Hines break, gets rid of the back row. Wells just gets out in time, but is still getting his foot position right. And Balmain, as a prop, you're used to your head being at that level and trying to edge forward. He gets over the line, the referee has a good look. And Leicester in trouble.
Only other Premiership try was for Leicester. It has been a very good half for Gloucester. 3 tries and they lead 22-6.
Imagine now Ford to put this down into the 22. Leicester try and force some field position. They haven't had much of that to play with.
Gloucester have made a change amongst the backs. Mark Atkinson has gone off injured. He's been replaced by Henry Trinder in the middle of all that. Trinder will offer a slightly different threat to Leicester's defence via midfield. Hines clears, despite close attention of Wells. Kitchener takes on 12 Trees, who judo style brings him down. Oh, that's a steepler from Ford.
Play on.
Not
No,
taken
knock on.
cleanly by Woodward. And,
Release!
it allows Mike Fitzgerald to pick it up for Leicester and for them to reload, but there's no way through there.
Yeah, good shot, but what's equally impressive is how they've slowed the ball down for Leicester. Another double shot. Leicester need to be getting quicker ball if Gloucester are losing people to the big tackle. There's the hand coming through. Is he on his feet?
Jaco Creel, who's having a look. Eastman, Oluwafela coming off his wing, runs around Cipriani and then leaves Thorley. Oh, and Cipriani got back with the magic ankle tap, brought down Oluwafela, and the penalties Gloucester, and all that Gloucester touch right now is turning to goal.
Brilliant tackle from Cipriani. Referee gives Gloucester 10 more metres for a bit of back chat from the Tigers. Oluwafela, a little bit of indecision as he made that break. They'd created the opportunity. He needed to trust the pace of the men outside him and shift the point of contact away from the defenders.
They just didn't have the pace to get to him, and then the tackle and the turnover from Willie Hines. It's a nice play on the outside, good ball from Eastman, well timed. As you get to this point here, your only option is to check to the outside. Don't run away from your support. Get closer to them. Let them close the gap support. Look at this tackle. Great tackle, and then Willie Hines straight in over the ball. Just comes in out of shot now. Boom, there he goes, gets the penalty. Great defence from Gloucester.
Final play of the half. Oh, and Hansen's line-out has been burgled by Kitchener.
Hands off now to
It's on Leicester's mind.
It's half-time, yes.
First line-out loss for Gloucester.
I'm down.
And
Don't need that.
Leicester will back their chips. They don't have many of them. A couple of years ago on the opening night, they were trailing by 24 points to 7, Leicester, and they still won. Tonight, they trail 22-6. What does the second half have in store for all of us? Yes, Lewis talking about Leicester's penalty count. They have been the most disciplined side in the Premiership so far this season, conceding on average just 9 penalties a game, and they gave up 8 in that first half.
Time on.
We know that Gloucester conceded a similar situation 2 years ago on the opening night. Surely they have their hands on this one. We will see. Willie Hines reacquainting himself with the Premiership for the first time this season. Taken by Worth. No Vianu, no Holmes playing for Tonga, and that's what Worth can do. And Oluwafela gave it away to Banahan, and he very nearly set Gloucester up again, but just the knock-on.
He's got to do it himself. It's a great read from him. Spots it early, positions himself, but almost hides. Now he goes.
Oluwafela pulls his hands out the way.
He does.
He thinks maybe the ball's going over the top. It's not meant for him.
Well, I wonder.
That's what puts Banahan off, I think.
Yeah, I wonder if he thinks Banahan's going to cut him in half, and he would have spilt it. So, can he take Banahan out by leaving it?
Crouch!
Oh, it's one of those 50-50s. Could have gone either way.
Set! Up and square, up and square!
Ben White, the Leicester scrum half, waited.
He stayed long, you've gone to floor. Penalty against Warham, collapse.
Sense that the penalty was on its way then.
Yeah, Dan Cole mentioned it before the game, that ability to win a penalty on the halfway line. Give Ford the opportunity to kick down into the red zone. How close can he get it? Not as close as he would have wanted. Only just inside the 22, but now prime attacking position off the line out. But
Just
it's a decent
touch.
Gloucester defensive outfit. In particular, Ed Slater in there, and his reading of the game, you have to come up with the goods.
Ed.
Tempo, it's 9 red, in or out. He's
Hoisted up, but one stolen. Slater, who did such brilliant work for Leicester in the line-out in his days as a Tiger, now doing likewise for the Cherry and Whites.
Inside. Let him go, let him roll.
Oliver Failer, Banahan. Ball beats them both.
Just looking at that steal, Gloucester almost forced Leicester into throwing it there, so they changed their position early.
Step out, Red.
And then get up in front. They force Kitchener to go exactly where they want and follow.
Well, Leicester just a little bit too slow there to get into position, get everything set. It was almost a bit too deliberate.
He deliberately slowed it down because he saw the change, and another error at the front there. Banahan reading it well.
Yeah, Mike Fitzgerald trying something canny. It nearly worked. Banahan wasn't to be deceived. Here's Honeck, and this is the Wallaby hooker, James Hansen. The only fit senior hooker here at the moment. Franco Murray's injured. Some talk that South African Jaco Vasagi is on his way on loan from the Bulls. They're a little bit threadbare hooker-wise. Henry Walker's poised for his Premiership debut on the bench tonight.
Use the ball.
Kitchener tried to slow that ball down from
Advantage knock on. Knock on by
Willie
White
Hines,
and then by
but
Red.
as Oliver Failer went airborne, he lost the ball.
Knock on.
Another good kick, though, from Willie Hines, giving everybody an opportunity to get into the landing zone. Look how many people are around the ball when it comes down. That's a sign of a very good kick.
Willie Hines, who had a 50-minute run out last Friday night, filthy night against Northampton in the Premiership Cup, nursing that calf back into full working order. So that's a horrible injury to come back from.
It is, yeah.
A calf injury for anyone, Austin, but for a scrum half in particular.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. His kicking game doesn't seem to be suffering. Just watching that again, I've seen those penalties given when someone's in the landing zone and doesn't compete and doesn't know where the ball is. I've seen those given before.
Just reset, mate, reset. He's just lost his balance.
As well as his own player that caused as much of a problem.
12 trees, lays it back for Cipriani. Now what's happening here again? Woodward leaving vapour trails behind him. Gloucester seeking out an early try and the bonus point at the beginning of this second half. Here's Honeck.
First man.
Good steal.
No, good turnover.
Tom Youngs was in amongst it.
Wait for it, mate, wait.
And
Okay,
Joe Ford wallops it towards the shed and up towards halfway.
Yeah, I think Honeck just gets tackled, but no one's near him. He goes to do a long place, but you see a good squat position. Fitzgerald who gets over that, I think.
So Hansen.
This is where Gloucester are really dangerous from a line-out on this side of the field. They drop a couple of forwards out. On this occasion, Creel.
Stop.
And they're able to use them as decoys.
Oh, this is Thorley. Oh, he's found an enormous hole. And this is the bonus point for Gloucester and for Thorley. Oh, my goodness, they've played well tonight and they've run the ball with purpose and ambition and no little imagination.
Oh, they get Leicester turning their shoulders on the outside flanks of the defensive line, turning in. Just watch Evans here, turns in, and then his speed to recover isn't good enough. He should have made that tackle. He drifts back into position, but there's a 3-on-2 on the outside, but they don't need him. A little bit tight, but they don't get off. They don't push off those decoy runners quick enough. And that is a fantastic score. Really well manipulated. Decoy runners holding their defenders. The reaction's not quick enough. And then it's all about making the right decisions once you're in behind. Brilliant by Thorley.
And he's not played in the Premiership since he hurt himself against Leicester back in February, since he hurt his shoulder, and he's just undone the Moz.
No, strong physicals, given half an opportunity. It wasn't a clear gap, it needed some acceleration, and it's a fantastic finish from a long way out. Gareth Owen will watch that in the assessment on Monday and think he's got to react quicker. He's got to get out of that concertinaed area.
Drawn in by Cipriani. Gloucester 29, Leicester 6.
This is the try. We did mention it before the line-out. Jaco Creel out in the back line. What that does is, because you've got a big carrier, it just keeps the 12 and 13 straight. It means they bite in on him. If they bite in, you then can't drift as quick and react as we see. It's not even really executed that well, but look how slow Gareth Owen is to react. You've got to get back out there. Oliver Feller is left out to dry. Took some finishing, but it was a really poor defensive effort from Leicester.
Cute little restart from Joe Ford. Not quite working. And Gloucester can come again with Honeck. Durable Maori All Black. He's only missed a couple of Premiership games over the last few years. Tackled by the new man. Will Spencer has come on, stepping back into the Premiership for the first time since his rather high-profile red card against Wasps at the beginning of the season. Cipriani, who's seen red recently as well, and Henry Trinder, been with us for a while.
White's never on ball.
Cipriani again fires it to Banahan, back to Cipriani, beautiful. Oh, Banahan, Hines, it's magical. It is rugby poetry. And the final line goes to Jason Woodward.
Brilliant try, but they've got to come back and look at the pass. They have to look at the pass from Cipriani to Banahan. It looked possibly forward. I hope it's not from a purist point of view, because it was a sensational break.
Formal one, Jeff.
Looks like he is checking.
Time off. TMO intervention.
The phase before or after Fitzgerald made that initial tackle, he's already weighing up his options.
But just the brilliance to actually take a 2-on-2 and turn it into a try from 65 metres out. This is the pass they're going to look at.
That's all right.
Well, I don't think that angle tells the whole picture, because the camera ends up behind it. This will give you a better idea. Look at the pass from Cipriani. He draws, stays alive. I think that's okay.
I think that's all right.
I think that might be okay. They might look at the one after it as well. But for me, his hand looked like it's going backwards. This one was close as well. That's fine. That's a try for me.
What about that one?
That one's close.
Just coming. So he's this side of the line.
That one clearly.
Oh, that is forward, yeah.
Oh, what a shame.
Absolutely, so yes. Disallow clear forward pass on field to no try.
That's the equivalent of somebody about to put the Mona Lisa on the wall at the Louvre and dropping it.
Oh. But I go back to, these things don't just happen off the cuff. Cipriani has spotted an opportunity while Fitzgerald has made a tackle. He's trying to get back into the line. He's weighing up, where can I attack? If it's not on, he makes the clearance kick, or he tells Willie Hines to. But just that ability to spot when it is on, and then bang, they go. And we know that Jan Ackerman loves that style of play from his time at the Lions. He will be cheering as loudly as anyone to see that sort of play.
One of Gloucester's 3 try scorers in the first half. Fraser Balmain, former Tiger, being replaced by Kieran Knight. He's a 20-year-old who's been covering some miles this season.
Keep it up, fellas. Up. Use the ball, use it, or reset.
Ben White uses it. Ford, Owen. Oh, that's gone forward.
Yeah, that's got left-hand spin pass practice written all over it on Monday. Won't want to see that one again. It's actually a decent play. It's just a double miss.
Dan's changed his bind,
but
which is why
for it to work, it has to go to hand
then played away.
and backwards.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Manu Tuolangi with England this weekend. Matt Tamua, by the way, will be Australia's starting 10 against Italy tomorrow. What about the Gloucester 10 tonight?
Well, there's people on social media saying, stop going on about Cipriani, please. Stop it. There's other people in the team. There is. But when you've got this sort of brilliance, you've got to applaud it. There he is. Look at his work rate to get around the corner. So he works all the way around the corner. And as he comes, he looks up and he sees that he's got a slow guy in front of him. And he's going to isolate the guy outside. He's not bothered about Callum Mafoney on the inside. He just wants to make Oliver Feller step in. There he goes, steps in, bites. Then he pushes him, gets him off, stays alive, gets the pass back out again. Pass before contact, stays alive on the pass. That is talent. That has an ability to read a phase beyond a phase. And for those people on social media who are bored about me and Ben saying his name and are actually playing drinking games off the back of it, Cipriani, Cipriani, Cipriani. There's 3 pints, get them down your neck.
And he's loving reading the Johan Ackermann playbook as well, because
he's writing it.
That's the well, he's helping to write it, but he's the chief author. That's the way he wants to play. It's what he's been trying to introduce over the last season and a bit. If you see it and you're in your own 22, do it. I think have the guts to do it.
Absolutely. I think he's the missing link between Gloucester being a side that we've seen in the previous 2 seasons, and you couple that with the signings that they've made, South African signings that they've made in the pack, the power that they've got now. Physically, those guys can take on anyone, that pack. You mix that in with a backline, decent pace, you've got a potential champion side.
Significant change in the Gloucester front row. Hansen off, Henry Walker on for his Premiership debut. And into a side at full steam, but maybe not now. This is Thompson, and he's charging away, and Thorley's getting back to him, and actually Thompson in the end missed his kick, and Gloucester pick it up in their own 22 once more with Jaco Creel.
Yeah, Thompson didn't have the gas. He tried to put it on the outside of his boot. Right. He'll play it on his right-hand side.
Inside.
Slater goes over to protect the ball, that long ruck. Honek's there. And with plenty of space to get the ball away. Doesn't find touch, just picks out George Worth. White, Ford. Owen. Ball in one hand, he's tiptoeing his way through. He's come through what was a difficult couple of minutes not so long ago. Here's Eastman, oh, no way through. Held on to by Trinder. Fitzgerald. 30 minutes last weekend for him in the Premiership Cup. First game for a couple of months after a knee injury. And he was at the bottom of all that.
Yeah, it's the right decision. 12 tree seals off his feet. It's a great turnover to begin with.
18's off feet, he's fine.
It's gone against Knight, hasn't it?
I think it's 12 trees actually. Knight, I think, gets a decent turnover.
18 off feet.
Oh, 18 off feet, okay.
So Henry Walker, still only 20, part of the England squad at last summer's Junior World Championships. Premiership debut for him, but mounting injury problems for Gloucester at hooker. Franco Murray will be out until the new year. And James Hansen doesn't look entirely happy with things at the moment. Attacking Leicester line out.
5 red in the side.
It's been ripped away by Savage, but the penalty's gone against Ed Slater.
Yeah, excellent aggression from Savage. Slater always in from the side, according to the referee's assistant. It's a penalty. They'll be happy to go. You can see just taking the front lifter there, Greg Bateman, running him around the side. Never came from directly behind the ball, but the sort of penalty when you're on top and you've had a couple of successes stealing the ball, you're happy to give away, just to show Leicester they're not going to set it up easily. Yeah. There's constantly going to be someone in their space.
Not too big.
Savage doing a really good job on that front as well.
That's fine.
Mike Williams in at scrum half, ready to latch on the ball if they can win it. Great take from Kitchener, one-handed above his head. In come the backs to join the cavalry.
Reminiscent of the England white shirts last weekend. They're all in there, and they're almost over the line. They've
it looked like it was held up. It looked on the first year that it was held up.
Well, he's absolutely sure, Ian Tempest, that is a try, and it looks as if Mike Williams has got it.
Williams sort of at the front there. Savage is half on the ball already. He's got one arm over the top, but now he gets in there. He does actually change his bind anyway. He's not entitled to change his bind.
This angle will give us a better idea, won't it? It looked like he had it in his left hand. Yes, he has. Is he held up? Does he roll and get it down? I don't think he does. And they kicked it and taken the points, though.
Well, in fairness to Ian Tempest, he was in the perfect position. He was that side, and if anyone was going to have a view, the referee
I agree with Austin. I couldn't see it go down there. But the fact that he changes his arm, he moves his left arm back onto the ball there, I think it would have been a penalty against him anyway. Could potentially have been a yellow card. And potentially a penalty try anyway. So probably in Ian Tempest's defence, he's thought, well, I don't want to cause a storm here.
And the try was converted. 29-13 as we approach the hour mark. Gathered in once again by Eastman, who was hit by 12 trees.
3 restarts, 3 collected by Eastman. Maybe learn and swap him with someone massive and put him there.
Keep going, Red. He's trapped by a foot now.
Schoeneck needs to be careful. Make sure that Ben White wasn't impeded as he made that clearance. Here's Woodward. How well Woodward has played ball in hand.
Good tackle, good dominant tackle.
Ghosting runs. Dominant tackle from Tom Youngs.
Ball's available to be played.
Taken up. Cipriani. A test for worth. He's scampering across. Owen was there to try and offer him as much help as he could. Took it ahead of Trinder. And Bateman. Ford. Thompson will chase after this.
Just a bit too far, isn't it?
Once more, Joe Ford. Worth. Oluwafella. He'll challenge with Banahan. It wasn't really a contest.
Oh, sensational. Hands above the head. Absolutely brilliant experience coming to the fore.
Debutant Henry Walker. Twisted backwards, but still Gloucester ball. Still ball for Tom Savage, who runs into an old mate in the shape of Sione Kalamafoni. 12 trees, playing against old mates. So many crossed threads over the halfway line tonight. Oh, that's a Leicester penalty as Gareth Evans took it in.
Owen over the ball. Evans just got a bit isolated. I just wonder whether 12 trees ships it on, but almost runs away from him as a support. He needed to follow him into the contact, prevent Owen getting his hands on the ball. There, he just almost gets caught. Maybe, in fact, he should have taken it in himself. Gives Leicester another shot. A couple of metres, 10 metres from the line. And really, that's got to go bang into the corner.
I tell you what, 7 points now. And suddenly, when Cherry and White are supporting them, you start to worry.
Well, that comeback that we were talking about at half-time 2 years ago was the greatest ever in Premiership history. If they do this, it'll be the second greatest. Let's have a quick chat with Anthony Allen, who's part of Leicester's coaching team. Anthony, how are you trying to change things tactically? What are you trying to do better in this second half?
Okay, I think just trying to eliminate some individual errors, staying in the system, staying what we've been practicing, and actually that's showing dividends in this last sort of 5 minutes. We're getting a bit more territory, D'ing up well, second man, getting involved and slowing the breakdown down, and we're getting a bit of a good outcome.
Not conceding as many penalties either, none so far in the second half.
Yeah, that's key. You know, penalties give them easy territory, and you know, the less we can give them that, the better. You know, Cipriani's playing well, and we've just got to not give them the territory, and we'll be all right.
Brilliant, thanks, Ant.
Spencer rising high there, the set's good. Just starting to get some pressure now, Leicester, in this area. Need to get that ball to the back.
Well, Oluwafella has spun away to the left-hand side, and Willie Hines is aware of the danger, is calling for more reinforcements, but they'll have the penalty first of all.
Ian Tempest looked like he was just going to the pocket then for a minute.
Time off.
Is he?
It'll be a last warning, won't it?
Now a team warning. That's always a maul for me, and it's been tackled, the ball carried to the floor. So it's a penalty collapse in the maul. Okay? It's now a team warning. Sorry? It's always a maul for me. So it plays a touch on both sides, and you've tackled this, so it's a collapse in the maul. Okay, so it's a penalty. Time off, please. Man down. scrum. Okay, we'll wait for you to get back up and we'll have the scrum.
It's a useful graphic, isn't
Same
it?
as the
Gives an
replacement.
idea of
Momentum.
which way the tide's
Yeah,
going.
absolutely. It's very difficult
Scrum
for
call.
Gloucester. It's very difficult to keep
Collapse
that
them all.
foot down on the pedal to the metal. When you've got out to that lead, you've got your bonus point.
Cheers. You need to go longer. You need to go longer.
Forcing the game, and that's what someone like Hines or Cipriani just poking the fire, just making sure that you don't absorb, you don't become a defensive team that's happy to absorb and sit back on your lead. You have to chase the game, chase the win.
Ideal scenario here, guys. If you get a right shoulder in the scum, you get Callum Mahoney off the base and around under the post, 7 points. Ideally, that's what you want. Will it happen? All he's got to run over is Cipriani if he can get outside Creel.
I'd be very surprised with the changes that have been made for Gloucester in the front row. Leicester haven't made their changes. If Dan Cole's looking back to Callum Mahoney saying, don't you dare pick this ball up. We are going to test this new young front row. And if it doesn't creak, then you can take it, but do not take it too early.
But with the same breath, Ben, if Dan Cole gets a right shoulder and he gets a metre, 2 metres, you can't stop Callum Mahoney from there. You can't stop him.
But he'll want to get that shunt on first, won't he? Exactly.
I think sometimes you've got to take the macho-ness off the props.
No, if it's rolling, you just keep it in.
Let's see, here we go. Laid in by Ben White. There comes a drive. Picked up one-handed by Callum Mahoney. He runs into Creel, who stopped him well. But still, Leicester with the opportunities. Ball was a little bit loose. Slater was there, making sure it was loose, but it's still Leicester ball.
He's done well, Ben White, to recover that. Looked like 12 Trees had dived over the top. They get a chance to start again. They've got to get a bit tighter, Leicester here. They're a bit loose.
Spencer clapping for it. He's getting some muscular assistance from Mike Fitzgerald. White. Cole wants it now. Callum Mahoney. Oh, that's gone forward.
See, that's the bit of Leicester's red zone play I don't agree with. You don't run forwards off a 9 pass, 5 metres away from the breakdown, because it means a defender is advancing towards you rather than waiting for you to advance towards him. He sees the opportunity there, Bateman, takes his eyes off the ball. That's what's caused the knock-on.
So, unfortunately for him, he's dropped the ball, but I think that's the right decision. Too often Leicester take that 9 pass and then another 9 pass. You almost need to vary it and get that pick and go, get the eyeballs focused in towards the pick and go, and then you stop the line speed coming forward and you can go forward off a 9 pass.
Ben Morgan, who hurt his shoulder at that England training camp in Portugal, is good to go again. He's replaced Gareth Evans. End of his first start for the best part of 2 years. Good to see him involved again. Absence of Ruan Ackerman, who'll be out for a while. Jake Pelledri as well, incidentally. He'll play for Italy against the Wallabies tomorrow.
Time on, please. Scrum, knock on.
Morgan is back. Good to go. And we played an hour. And the outcome of this match, maybe not quite as obvious as it seemed when Ollie Thorley scored Gloucester's bonus point try just after half-time. Mike Williams' score has given Leicester some interest in this. It'll be a defensive Gloucester scrum, however.
Just think Morgan will get this in and out as quickly as he can if possible, but the shunt comes on too early. Leicester know that the ploy would have been a strike straight into the 8's hands and then pick and go. Dan Cole's hurt himself.
Who calls that push, Ben? Who's in charge of that moment when the defending scrum snaps forward?
Well, who's in charge of it? Probably one of the props in terms of the snap, but the message will come from the flanker probably in terms of he's got the best view of the ball coming in, and he'll call the and wait.
Here's an example, Ben, of what we were talking about. When you've got props carrying, if you're picking up and going around the corner, you can attack those guys who have to zone in. But because Dan Cole comes all the way out a good 6-7 metres away, look how quickly the defence can get realigned, and then you get hit by 1, 2, and they pile over the top. Like you said, you've got to vary the play there. If you're always playing off 9, defences just read you.
Short and Leicester line-out, successful one. Forward to Eastman, trying to offer that threat ball in hand, which we know that he has. Creel was trying to strip it back, but it's still Leicester's. Here's Gareth Owen.
Billy, release!
Billy 12 Trees getting his hands in the works, gumming things up, but not stopping it totally. Spencer. Box kick from Ben White, taken by Woodward. He's lassoed by Thompson. Again, maybe high from Thompson as Trinder tried to snake his way through. On we go.
Attack, penalty only.
It's the voice of Jeff Warren, the TMO.
Nothing coming, it's a high tackle.
One other game, which will bring you a score from in a moment, as we...
Yeah, it is, isn't it? You know, we've been told no one likes it really, but in order to try and make the game safer, if you go that high, you're going to get a penalty against you.
One and two. And 10.
Alex Dombrandt, on his Premiership debut for Harlequins, has scored a try for them.
1, 2 and 10.
And they lead Newcastle 13-0, kicked off at the same time. It's a season which continues, certainly in Premiership terms, to be a difficult one.
Yeah, if it stays like that, a lot of people will be quite surprised. Most pundits thought that Newcastle might go down there and get a win. And slowly, as the games tick away, Dean Richards, the Newcastle players, the supporters will just start to get a little bit itchy. Going very well in Europe, not so well in the league.
Across the line.
Now Leicester jumping across the line.
Well, that's been happening all game from both sides.
Just watch that. That is Facundo Gigenia making his Premiership debut. And the Argentinian, 24-year-old, and also a little bit of a gymnast.
Post called.
All of those changes. Tom Hardwick on for Joe Ford, and also a Premiership debut for Jake Kerr, 22. He's replaced Tom Youngs. There he is, a few weeks after his European debut against the Scarlets. Second season after graduating from Loughborough University. We're seeing more of the Geordie Cubs, Ben. These Tiger Cubs being given their head, given their opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Pelota now away with Australia at the moment, but Jake Kerr developing a real reputation. Probably the strongest thrower in the club at the moment, which, when the line-out hasn't been quite what you'd expect it to be, it's useful to bring on someone who can deliver that top dart to the likes of Spencer, Kitchener.
15 minutes to go. And it just fell short. It was a couple of metres longer than his first half effort.
It's a change for White. It's a change for White. Relax. Time off. Dan.
And here comes Gaston Cortes. 33 now, handful of tests for the Pumas. Joined up from Bristol this year, and he replaces Dan Cole. So Leicester have now changed their entire front row. Cipriani. Oh, look at Woodward hurtling to try and get underneath this one, and Worth didn't manage to get there.
It was good from Woodward because he got into the space early and then stood still. So he almost said to his opposite number, Worth, you've got to jump over the top of me now.
Move!
Driven up by Savage. His first Premiership run out of the season after a knee injury. Gloucester welcoming back so many players tonight. Amongst them their scrum half. And Ben Morgan as well. He's not really been away long, just that injury with England. Cipriani, 12 Trees.
That's nice from 12 Trees that. He let the defence come, then put the ball in behind.
Morgan on an angled run. just about held on to by Fitzgerald. 12 trees. Whips it back to Trinder. Oh, that's really important from Williams. He just got the laces. Freddie Clark. 12 trees again. Once more Savage. For the first time in a while, Gloucester just beginning to find a rhythm of their own. They've been on their back doorstep for a while, but now they're having a look at Leicester's front doorstep. And Woodward, lovely to Thorley. Crikey, when they've got it together with their hands tonight, they have been really impressive. Hines, 12 trees once more, snatched up as it needed to be by Savage. He was under pressure very quickly. Creel. Jaco Creel.
Ball's clearly out.
Here's Morgan. Needed 2 players to stop him. There's a gathering storm here. Once more, it's the large-sized Freddie Clark. Oh, and Vanahan's lost it.
He was just waiting, wasn't he? Waiting for one quick ruck on that short ball. Hines knew he was coming.
Yeah.
Couldn't quite take it. Had he taken that, he'd taken some stopping.
Change, mate. Change, mate, you're going. Time off.
Just again, that break on the outside, the way they control their feet, almost tempt the defenders to step out onto them and then just pick off a 3-on-2.
Yeah, it's been a really significant evening for Willie Hines. 50th game for the club. First time in a long time in the Premiership, and they know how important he is.
I think he's been very impressive tonight. His kicking game, his management of the pack, defensively very, very strong. And you just start to suspect that Gloucester are building to something. We've had the first block of games. We're into this second block now. If it goes well for them, they'll find themselves at least in the top 3. Maybe not the top 2. But they're certainly looking like a side that are going places.
Lots of changes. Gerbrand Gröbler's come on for Ed Slater. There's Gröbler, hefty South African. Winning the Champions Cup semi-final for Munster in Bordeaux last year.
Okay, fellas.
And Josh Honeck has done his night's work as well. Carl Trainer's on. Valrapava Ruskin, who's been ill this week, was initially picked as a replacement, but he didn't make it tonight. So former Bristol man Carl Trainer, who's here on a short-term deal, into this scrum.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
For Ben White, a Leicester change as well.
Stand up. Stand up. Okay. We have new personnel. We're not going to start off where we started at the start of this match. Okay? So we do better and we keep these scrums up. We're not going back to square one because new personnel are on the field.
Tom Savage, by the way, is Gloucester's new captain, and the man with the ball in his hands, Sam Harrison, is Tigers captain.
Bind! Set!
This side hinge as well.
Easy get out of jail card for Leicester on their own line.
Both sides of the scrum.
Would have had to work hard to clear that now. Leicester through Hardwick, opportunity to get out of the 22, but they still get the line out.
So Tom Hardwick.
Both sides of the scrum, my side's collapsed and so is this side.
Still a teenager, Premiership debut this season. He's been part of the Premiership Cup effort over the last few weeks.
5. That's fine.
Taken at the front by Fitzgerald, a fit again Fitzgerald.
Down by White, 8 is there. Use the ball, 9.
Jake Kerr being hauled off the shop floor and into action by the new captain, Harrison. Spencer, and now Gigenya to provide the length for Harrison to clear it safely. Banahan held on to her by Oluwafela, but not long enough. Maybe long enough just to slow him down for some more defensive mates to arrive. Here's Morgan, who's created quite an impression every time he's had the ball since arriving. 12 trees, lays it back to Woodward, and again Woodward on one of those ghosting runs. This is Trinder. Callum Brayley came on to replace Hines. 12 trees again, holding the pass for as long as he could, but on that occasion holding it slightly too long. Here comes Matt Smith. He's back from a foot injury to clock up what will be his 221st game for Tigers. 32 these days.
Couple of the young fellas.
For Gareth Owen in midfield.
Yeah, defensively just been exposed a little bit this evening by Woodward. It's quick, stands him up, gets to the outside on numerous occasions.
For your delectation tomorrow, some test match rugby from Murrayfield, Scotland against South Africa at 5 o'clock BT Sport 2. Premiership again on Sunday. We're at Ashton Gate for Bristol against Exeter at 2:30. And after that match, another chance to see that excellent documentary about Irish rugby and the troubles, shoulder to shoulder, Sunday tea time. And then rugby tonight, back on Wednesday night. From our Stratford studios. Lima Sofawanga, Wasps, Lima Sofawanga with us to enjoy the fun. Former Wasp, Eastman, and Hardwick trying to stretch it. Trying to find Thompson.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? Execution poor. Quite a simple play, not a lot of pressure on you.
Danny.
Has to go to hand.
10, Danny.
That's an example of why Gloucester have been so successful. The other stats are relatively close territory and possession. Maybe not in this half, but overall, those line breaks have been governed largely by this guy.
Well, he makes an impression whenever he plays. And in his first game back from that red card in Limerick, Andy Cipriani's had another noteworthy night. Tom Hudson, a former Leicester player, is on in his stead. Grobler, head down. Being held up in his own half. Brayley, 12 trees.
Release him!
Tom Hudson with an early touch of the ball. Knight. 12 trees again.
Yeah, he was waiting for Woodward there to come into the picture at the back. Might have a chance now, Woodward. We're waiting a long time for Woodward because he's not on the pitch, is he?
Release, it's a new tackle, release!
It's actually Trinder in the backfield. Oh, he is.
Use the ball, man!
He's there. I found him. It's pantomime season. Behind me.
Brayley with the high clearing kick, gathered by George Worth. His first Premiership start of the season. Opportunities during this autumn test window to see players that we wouldn't normally see in the Gallagher Premiership. See a lot of Callum Afoni. Seen a lot of him tonight. He's
bring him down.
Moved beyond 100 carries this season tonight. Eastman.
Go.
Harrison. He's one of the new faces. Gigenya. Had a spell in Super Rugby with Jaguares not so long ago. Smith, that was neatly done to bring in Oluwafela. Not really seen Oluwafela in an attacking sense enough tonight, Ben, from Leicester's perspective.
A couple of times he's got through, just slightly hesitant.
Release,
just maybe confidence thing.
No, Billy, no!
Gloucester just soaking up the Tigers' attacking play. Leicester going side to side.
Swung to the floor by by Bannerhanworth. And that was a hefty meeting of number 8s.
I think the only threat really for Tigers at the moment as they go over the top is Eastman, but that's going to bounce for Smith. Again, comfortable. They slow the ball down, Gloucester. Now they'll get the line speed back. Good run from Spencer.
Dislodging a few Gloucester bricks as Leicester go through as many phases as they've mustered this evening. Fitzgerald doesn't hold on to it long. Instead, it's Hardwick and Worth. Tackled again by Morgan, who's been industrious since arriving. Hardwick again. Cortez. Another workout for this Johnny Bell drilled Gloucester defence. Kerr making a little bit of a bust. Harrison as Grobler tries to hold him up. Clark was there as well. Ooh, Gloucester might think they were a little bit unlucky there as 12 trees spun away.
It's one of those really annoying laws that because the knee's gone to the ground, it's a tackle, but you're latched onto the ball, so you don't feel that there's any need for you to let go because you've ripped it. But because the defensive player has almost volunteered his knee to the floor, tackle completed, you're meant to let go, but it's very, very hard as a defensive player. Here you can see he feels he's got a choke tackle. That knee had gone down, the referee calls it there, and you have to let go. But it seems completely alien to you as a defensive player to do it.
Kerr with an accurate line out to Fitzgerald.
Grobler can get himself through there onto the ball. Really good defence.
The ball is loose. Harrison needed to make sure he was first to it, which he did under a lot of pressure. Kerr's ready, but it's Fitzgerald still 6-7 metres short. Williams. Spencer looks keen to involve himself. Grobler stretching away once more. Fitzgerald. Henry Walker, the replacement hooker, part of this effort. Here's Matt Smith. And Kerr. And as much as we've applauded Gloucester's attacking effort this evening, defensively they've been tough as well. Leicester having to work very hard to try and crack this. Hardwick. Olawafella, maybe now. No way through. Hit again by two cherry and white defenders. 2.5 minutes to go. Gigenya. Spencer. That's been lost. And that was all about Gloucester's defence. And they're playing the advantage with Morgan. Oh, he's sidestepped his way through. And now the chase for Thorley. This would be extraordinary. Thorley has got Worth to beat. Oh, he's put Eastman on his backside. Oh my God. Thorley will score.
What a try.
He's travelled the length of the Cotswolds to score an absolute beauty.
But when the goal is bubbling, Ben Morgan has got one thing in his mind, and he executes it perfectly. And then Thorley does the rest. For the big number 8, renowned for his barnstorming carries. Shows acceleration and awareness and handling. Here we go. Look at Ben Morgan. Right, I'm off. Little bit of footwork, accelerates through. Now he's aware of his support. Perfectly timed pass. And watch this from Thorley. Loads of space to run into, using his footwork against men with pace and footwork to match him. And he leaves them for dead. Not one get a hand on him. Brilliant Gloucester score.
All created by number 8 coming on and not just doing the thing and ploughing into contact, seeing space, seeing opportunity, keeping the ball alive. Did this take some finishing? My God, it did. Then he turns on the gas and gets away from two pacey Leicester backs. That is some finish.
Conversion from 12 trees, and Gloucester are heading to a record win against Leicester in the Premiership here at Kingsholm.
I tell you what, it's some team performance from Gloucester. All their pack have played exceptionally well, including the subs that have come on. Ed Slater's had a fantastic game. Danny Cipriani, under normal circumstances, would have walked the Gallagher Premiership Man of the Match, but after two tries and a finish like that, there can be only one. And our Gallagher Premiership Man of the Match has to go to Ollie Thorley.
Ollie Thorley playing in the Premiership for the first time in 9 months, and only really because Charlie Sharples is injured.
He stole it at the death. Cipriani has managed the fires. He's got this Gloucester power pack going all over the field. But you can't deny a young man of the match after that try, can you?
Now, the drama has not reached its conclusion just yet.
I think it's a yellow card. He takes him.
Yeah.
The referee's just showing some sympathy to Callum Afoni there.
Full time, you tap the ball, it's off. Thank you.
He lands on his feet, to be fair. The referee's right.
Well, Gloucester at times mesmeric. 5 tries, some of them exceptional. The last as good as you will ever see watching this grand old game of ours. The Cherry and Whites go third in the Premiership this evening. They have beaten Leicester and beaten them soundly by 36 points to 30.